Turn on the news these days in the United States, especially to certain channels, and you will see news of the latest migrant caravan coming up from Central America to cross illegally into the United States, and people talking about just how bad that is. Now, that doesn't interest me, but what does interest me is how some of those people who are watching that news tell me if so many people are desperate to come to the United States, you're an idiot for leaving. I'm going to tell you why that's exactly wrong and why you need to know it. Hi, I'm Andrew Henderson. This is Nomad Capitalist, the channel and the company that helps 7- and 8-figure entrepreneurs and investors legally go where you're treated best. Here's a comment from a gentleman recently. We get a lot of these comments over the course of the years. He says, please go tell the thousands of people coming across the southern border that they should go somewhere else because America is horrible. Now, I don't know that the goal here is to tell you that the United States is horrible. It's perhaps to point out some of the hypocrisy, point out some of the flaws that go whitewashed or simply ignored, to show you that there are other options for you. If you want to stay in the United States or any other country, I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I made the decision to leave the United States. I made the decision to give up my citizenship. That's a pretty extreme example that most people, even those that we're working with, don't choose to do. But I did it because I fundamentally believe that for a person like me, a lifelong self-made entrepreneur who started with zero, who started with some great knowledge, but started with $0 and worked my way up to great success in multiple businesses, investments, what have you. For me, someone who never enjoyed living in the United States, the better option was to go where I'm treated best and to go and live in a handful of other countries, to travel the world, and to basically be able to choose where it is that I do business, where does I have residence, where I have citizenship. That's the choice that I've made. Now, if you look at the statistics, I happen to think that the statistics on people who, for example, give up their citizenship are underreported. But okay, it's still thousands of people a year. Even Americans who are living outside of the United States, the numbers range from $5 to $10 million, depending on who you believe and what criteria you apply. Well, you've got well north of 300 million people in the United States, 5, 8, 10 million. It's not really a huge number. The U.S. is not really an expat country. It doesn't really focus on expats the way other countries like the U.K., for example, or some European countries do. And so for that reason, the idea of leaving it seems very strange to many people who are in the United States who are hearing the constant media drumbeat and who are surrounded by people in the bubble where the United States is the best country on earth. They don't have any actual evidence to show that it's number one in anything except for prisoner population per capita, but they think it's number one. You know what I can tell you, having been to over 100 countries around the world, other people think that their country has flaws more so than perhaps people in the United States do, but they also think their country's number one. So who's right? How can everyone's country be number one? It may be number one to you, but it's probably number one because you haven't looked at other countries. I'm not saying that to be dismissive. I'm saying that simply because I'm looking at the evidence. And so you think millions of people coming into the United States every year through migrant caravans, through the green card lottery, through people getting jobs and H-1Bs and green cards and spousal and K-1 and all that. A lot more people coming in than are going out. But you know what? As I've always said, there's a long line at McDonald's. A lot of people like going to McDonald's. It does not make it good food. And so when I see people talking about, in perhaps a somewhat snarky way, I'm not trying to come across as snarky. I do want to convince people to at least consider the idea that there may be other options. We happen to speak to people who are financially successful, but obviously many people who are not yet at that 7- and 8-figure level also watch and want to hear how to improve their finances, protect their freedom, and improve their lifestyle. And so the person who says this kind of comment does not want to keep more of their own money. They don't want to have more freedom. They want to talk about having freedom. They want to use the word freedom a lot. They want to just throw it around. No one knows what it means. And they may not care about improving their lifestyle because they just figure, hey, this is what it is. This is as good as it gets. But I'll tell you the three things that I'm looking at with people that I'm talking to recently is what I just mentioned. Finances. What's your tax rate? How much money are you keeping? How's it impacting your mood? How's it impacting your business, your investments? How's it impacting your risk profile? How is it impacting your ability to make investments into certain funds or crypto projects that maybe for an American you can't make? How are your finances? How is living in the United States impacting your finances? Your freedom. Do you feel free living in the United States? Some people do. I can personally tell you, I feel much more free on all the different levels living overseas in the places that I do than I would in the United States, even in countries that you think are more strict, that on paper are more strict, that I believe aren't necessarily that way. And in your lifestyle, whether you are just starting out and you want to get more bang for your buck, you can do that in lots of places around the world. You can get healthier foods in many places in the world without, GMOs and all kinds of stuff in it. You can just enjoy life more. Better dating culture, for example. Safer. Let your kids, open the back door. Let your kids run outside, the way it used to be. All kinds of different lifestyle things. I think you can improve that by moving outside the United States. And I made that gamble that for the rest of my life, I cannot just go and live in the United States whenever I want. That's how strongly I believe it. So you look at the migrant caravans, just as an example. People are coming up, far more of them than people who are leaving the United States, especially more than are renouncing. Here's the very simple fact they overlook. These people are coming to work. They're coming for, number one, safety, and they're coming for, number two, a more stable financial life. And so, we can argue, and I would argue, that what the United States has done in many areas of, pushing out, with, for example, the war on drugs, has caused violence in Central America, for example. It has caused people to be unsafe. I could go and live in Central America, and some of our clients and audience members live in Central America, but they live in a different way than people who are in the lower classes of society. And that is very unfortunate for those folks. Just as I have chosen to go where I'm treated best, I have I've been fortunate to have the means to go and live in safe places. Not everyone has that in some parts of the world. And so they're doing what is best for their family. And I don't think that they necessarily love the United States. In fact, I think there's some people who say, I became a citizen, I realized it wasn't on what's cracked up to be. I've heard a number of people who were like that. Maybe they were not escaping violence when they came in, but people from Eastern Europe, people from Central America, South America, they said, hey, I thought it was going to be great. I'm glad for the financial opportunity, but now that I'm more stable, I'm going to go back and live, perhaps in my own country, or I'm going to go and live in a different country. And we hear it not infrequently. And so the United States is undoubtedly a great place to work. And I've said that there is, if there's one great thing about being a U.S. citizen, it is the right to work in the United States. It is undoubtedly true that the United States has lower employment taxes than most countries in the world. Therefore, in many cases, salaries are higher. Now, just saw a thing on Zero Hedge the other day about how the average, not the average, but the median, the 50 percentile American income earner is now making less than $3,000 a month. Those wages are stagnant. And so it is certainly not as rosy as it once was by any means. But hey, $3,000 a month, you go to a lot of places in the world, my goodness, $3,000 a month, you are the king. And so for the same reasons that people watching our channel want to go and live in somewhere else for $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month, they can have a great lifestyle in a safe place. It's a different situation for someone who is, escaping, San Pedro Sula, Honduras, and they're just looking to make some money. They're looking to get out from violence. And so, listen, compared to many places in the world, the U.S. is violent. The U.S. is not the wealthiest country in the world, despite what Bernie Sanders and all the politicians repeat all the time. But it is certainly wealthier than Honduras. But here's the difference. I do not need to get a job in the United States to support myself. I have a business that lives in the cloud that I can run from anywhere. I have the resources to live in a safe place, even in cities that people wouldn't consider outwardly safe. I spend time in Mexico. I spend time in Colombia. I don't generally feel unsafe in those places. I certainly take some precautions. Don't go to the wrong parts of town. More so precautions than I would in a Georgia or a Serbia or a Dubai or a Singapore, or Chile or something like that. But can afford to do that. And so I understand there are people in the world who think that no one should be able to do anything nice. Certainly I believe that, from my perspective, defunding and walking away from a government that has created many of these problems, and then, no, what are you talking, what? No, how dare they? I don't know what you're talking about. This is the Western hypocrisy we've talked about for years on our channel, and we recently talked about how the Western countries were all up in arms, that their ambassadors were getting kicked out of Turkey for speaking out about Turkey. Yeah, look what happens when you speak out about speak out against the United States. I don't think I'm on their Christmas card list. And so it's a little bit hypocritical that they get to create problems. You're not allowed to criticize them. And that's fine. But my point is very simply, it's disingenuous to tell me that someone who doesn't need the United States to create an income, they can create an income from anywhere, they can use the internet, that has the resources to live in a safe place. By the way, it doesn't take a lot. Again, the countries I mentioned, Georgia. I mean, a single person can live in Georgia for $1,000 a month, okay? It takes a pretty small internet business to do that, or a pretty small freelancing income to do that. We have different needs, right? And so it's very convenient, but again, disingenuous, to lump me in and to lump you, the Nomad Capitalist viewer, in with someone who is coming for other reasons. There will perhaps be, sadly, more people like that than there are people who reach success and say, you know what, I don't want to stay here. I'm going to go where I'm treated best. I'm going to go somewhere where they take less of my money. I'm going to go somewhere where they don't blame me for being too successful. And so it's entirely different. People coming into the United States who perhaps have no affinity for it. In fact, that's what many of these people who are watching say. They don't care about our country. They come to take advantage. Well, yeah, they're coming to go where they're treated best, whether it's legal or illegal. That's a whole separate discussion. But different needs, different going where you're treated best. Hey, listen, there are plenty of people where going where you're treated best is the U.S. It's not our audience, but let's not compare the two unfavorably. Don't stop now. We've got well over 1,000 more videos here on YouTube for you to watch and learn how to go where you're treated best. And if you want to work with Nomad Capitalist personally, go to nomadcapitalist.com/apply, learn about our unique, tried and true process, garnered over years of experience, and learn how you can become our client.